I remember visiting Ken Livingstone and Jesse Jackson the night before and having a whiskey with them at County Hall. There was this big sort of do. And then we all met up the next morning, bright and early, on the embankment. And I think everyone was kind of sort of in a state of shock about how many people had actually turned up. And I suppose at that moment, it felt that we were going to win the day, in a sense. I feel that I speak for a growing number of people in this country. And I think if you stopped anyone there on the road and asked them what they think, they'd say no. But I sort of, by the time we got to Hyde Park, I was starting to have my doubts, because there was this platform and there was an awful lot of triumphalism sort of taking place. And it felt like, in a sense, well, we've done great, but we need to come back again, and we need to come back again and again.
But nobody suggested that. Nobody
suggested that. It was I think the sheer sort of immensity of the protest, the unprecedented numbers, gave everyone the sort of illusion that the job was done.
Because, I mean, the Arab Spring, which followed, they stayed and stayed and stayed. There was never any question of the millions staying.
We've seen this played out, you know, in Hong Kong as well. But there's always a point, isn't there, where resolve and family responsibilities sort of take precedence, and things sort of, people disperse, and then you're left with that sort of vacuum of, well, was it actually worth it? And why didn't it work? Why didn't it work?
What do you want people to take from the film? Because, of course, it is a vivid revival of what happened.
We had a genuine empathy with the people in Iraq and the potential for catastrophe at that point, and I think we've lost that empathy as a society now. I think, you know, in the last 6 months we've been so sort of insular, hermetic almost, in our obsession with our own sort of election, which is understandable, but in the bigger scheme of things, it's quite insignificant, really.
I mean, you're a Labour man.
Well, I voted Labour this time, yeah.
Well, and you voted Labour for Blair in 97.
I didn't vote Labour in... I met Tony Blair, and I sort of, in a way, kind of had a sort of premature insight into the sort of the dark mechanics of politics, and at that point I honestly felt terrified about sort of Tony Blair. Yeah, I picked up on something kind of odd about him that I didn't understand. I was a bit scared of him, actually, to be honest with you.
And where is protest now? I mean, is it Russell Brand?
Well, I'm not going to be a Russell Brand hater, because I feel, you know, I think his heart's in the right place. I think sometimes maybe his methodology is a little naive.
Do you think the British people per se would tolerate another war like that,
well,
or have we learnt a lesson?
We are a small little country on the edges of everything, really. We like to think that we have this sort of muscle memory of being Great Britain. We're something very different now. We're a very interesting multicultural experiment, in a way. And I think, you know, within that, let's just nurture what we have, the resources, the fantastic diversity. You know, use all our citizens as potential ambassadors in the future to go out and be positive as opposed to aggressive and negative.
Damon Albarn, thank you very much for talking to us.